People didn't believe him when he said he wanted to build a tech company in the Philippines. Most thought it was unrealistic. To them, he was just another call center worker with a big idea. But he wasn't trying to impress anyone. He just wanted to build something useful. At 27 years old, Rafael Navarro lived in a small apartment in Mandaluyong. Nothing fancy, just an old laptop, a small desk, and notebooks full of ideas. Every night after long call center shifts, he came home, made cheap coffee, and started coding. No team, no investors, just tutorials, free tools, and trial and error. His goal was simple: build a navigation app designed for real Filipino traffic conditions. Not just standard GPS routes, but routes based on how roads actually behave during rush hour, rain, and daily congestion. The idea came during one of his normal commutes. He overheard drivers complaining about fuel waste, traffic delays, and bad route suggestions from existing apps. That moment stayed in his head, and instead of just complaining about it, he decided to try building a solution. That same week, he started designing his first prototype. Basic interface, simple routing logic, nothing perfect, but it worked enough to test. His daily routine became repetitive: work shift, cheap meal, code test, sleep a few hours, repeat. When he told some friends, they didn't take it seriously. Some told him to just find a tech job overseas instead. He didn't argue. He just kept building. After nearly 1 year of testing and fixing problems, he finally created a stable version. He named the app Tara. Uploading it to the Play Store felt like a turning point. It meant the idea was now real. Anyone could download it. The first week was quiet, very few downloads, no attention, no marketing. Then one message arrived. A delivery driver said the app helped him save time and fuel during work. That was enough. Not fame, not money, just proof it worked in real life. After that, Rafael focused only on improving performance, fixing routing errors, making the app load faster, simplifying the design so drivers could use it quickly. Since he was working alone, progress was slow but steady. Over time, downloads increased through word of mouth, drivers telling other drivers, small work groups sharing the app. Then something unexpected happened. He received an email invitation to present his app at a startup event in Singapore. At first, he thought it was fake. He had no company office, no investors, just an app and real user data. But the invitation was real, so he prepared a simple presentation: traffic problems, how his routing system worked, and real results from users. At the event, most founders had teams and funding. He only had his laptop. But when he presented, he focused on real-world use, not hype, not promises, just results. Afterward, developers and tech professionals asked him serious technical questions. For the first time, people in the tech industry treated his work like a real product. By the end of the event, Tara started getting attention from small tech communities. It wasn't global success yet, but it was proof. Proof that the app could grow beyond local users, and for Rafael, that was enough to keep going. After the Singapore startup event, Rafael didn't suddenly become rich. He didn't sign big deals overnight, but something important changed. People started taking the app seriously. That same night in his small hotel room, his phone kept vibrating. New downloads, emails from developers, partnership inquiries from small logistics groups. For the first time, Tara was moving beyond local driver communities. Rafael sat near the window, checking every notification carefully. Just months earlier, he was eating instant noodles between coding sessions. Now, people from different countries were asking how the app worked. One email stood out. A global tech blog wanted to feature his story. At first, he thought it was a mistake. He had spent years reading about startup founders online. Now someone wanted to write about him. The next day, during networking sessions, a reporter asked him a simple question: "How did you build this with so little?" Rafael gave an honest answer: hard work, consistency, and learning from every mistake. People laughed lightly at the answer, but they understood what it meant. When he returned to Manila weeks later, everything looked the same. Same airport crowds, same traffic noise, same humid air, but something felt different. On the ride home, his driver started talking about a navigation app his cousin was using overseas. Rafael stayed quiet. He just listened, because for the first time, his work was spreading outside the country. Back in his apartment, nothing had changed. Same desk, same laptop, same worn keyboard. He opened the app dashboard. New users were joining every hour. Not millions, but growing, steady, real. Instead of celebrating, he opened his development tools and started working again. He added language options, improved route prediction using more traffic pattern data, reduced battery usage for drivers using older phones. Soon, small delivery companies started contacting him. They wanted custom versions of Tara for fleet tracking and route planning. Since he still had no large team, Rafael started working with freelance developers online. Small steps, careful hiring, slow expansion. Months passed. The app started appearing in tech discussion forums, then small news articles, then regional tech podcasts. Nothing viral, but constant growth. One evening, while checking user feedback, he noticed something interesting. Many users were not just from the Philippines anymore. There were users from the Middle East, parts of Southeast Asia, and overseas Filipino workers recommending it to local drivers. That changed his mindset. Tara was no longer just a local tool. It was becoming a global utility built from a local idea. With growth came new pressure. Server costs increased. Customer support messages increased. System errors became more serious when they happened. There were nights he barely slept, fixing system crashes and database overload issues. But this time, he wasn't working in isolation. He had users depending on the app daily. That responsibility pushed him harder. Then came another milestone. A regional logistics company requested a pilot partnership. If successful, Tara would be used for thousands of drivers. Rafael knew this was risky. If the system failed, it could damage the app's reputation permanently. So he delayed the launch by 2 weeks. Not for marketing, for stability testing. When the pilot finally launched, the system held. Routes updated correctly. Drivers reported fuel savings. Delivery times improved. For Rafael, this wasn't just business success. It was proof that the technology worked at scale. By the end of that year, Tara was no longer just a solo project. It was becoming a real company. Still small, still careful, but real. And Rafael understood something clearly. The hardest part wasn't building the first version. The hardest part was making sure it kept working, for every person who trusted it. By the third year, Tara was no longer just growing. It was becoming stable. Not famous worldwide, not dominating headlines, but trusted by the people who used it every day. Rafael finally moved out of his tiny apartment, not to a luxury condo, just a slightly bigger place with space for a small work setup. He now had a small core team, a back-end engineer, a mobile developer, and one customer support manager. For the first time, he wasn't solving every problem alone, but growth created new challenges. Competitors started noticing Tara. Some large companies released similar features. Some tried entering the same markets. Instead of panicking, Rafael focused on one thing: user experience. He knew big companies moved fast, but they didn't always understand local driver behavior. Tara kept improving small details: offline mode improvements, low data usage updates, better support for older smartphones. These small changes kept loyal users staying with the app. Then came one of the biggest moments. A major regional transportation network contacted Tara for integration talks. This was different from pilot testing. This meant long-term system connection. If approved, Tara would be used by tens of thousands of drivers. The negotiation process took months. Technical audits, security testing, stress testing servers. Rafael attended every technical meeting himself. Not because he didn't trust his team, because he knew every line of the original system. When the deal was finally signed, Tara's user base doubled within months. But Rafael didn't celebrate publicly. Instead, he called his small team together and said one thing: "We grow slow, but we grow strong." As the company expanded, investors started showing interest. For years, he had none. Now, multiple offers came in, but he accepted only one small funding round, enough to scale infrastructure, not enough to lose control of product direction. He remembered why he started, not to chase trends, not to impress investors, but to solve real problems for real drivers. Years after launching the first version, Rafael visited a local transport terminal. He stood quietly, watching drivers checking routes on their phones. Some didn't even know he built the app, and he preferred it that way, because it meant the product mattered more than the founder. Later that night, back at his workspace, he opened the old notebook from his early days. Inside was the original note he wrote years ago. A Filipino app for the world. He looked at it for a long time, not smiling widely, not emotional, just satisfied, because the sentence was no longer an idea, it was reality. Tara wasn't the biggest app in the world, but it was proof of something bigger. That global technology can be built anywhere, not just in famous tech cities, not just by huge teams, not just by people with early funding. Sometimes it starts with one person, one problem, and one decision to try. And even after all the growth, Rafael kept the same routine. Review user feedback, check system performance, plan the next update. Because for him, the goal was never to become famous. The goal was to build something that lasts, and every time a driver opened Tara to plan a route, that goal continued.